Good morning, Mountain View, and welcome to the City Annual Update for 2021, Hope in View. I think we all know that the past year has certainly been unique in so many ways, so it seems only fitting that this year's annual update is a bit different as we host our very first online version. I'm pleased to announce we actually have more people tuned in this morning than we had in attendance last time, so welcome. It's great to see so many of our community tuning in today: business leaders, nonprofit leaders, city council, library, public works, community development, chamber board of directors, members of the general public. It's truly our city's diversity, inclusiveness, and camaraderie that sets us apart, strengthens our community, and plays such an important role in our economic vitality. We're also honored to have the offices of our local elected officials represented in the audience. Supervisor Joe Simidian, Assemblymember Mark Berman, Senator Josh Becker, and Congresswoman Anna Eshoo. Thank you for coming. We have a really packed hour ahead. We'll hear updates from City Manager Kimbra McCarthy and Mayor Ellen Kamei. They will then be joined by Economic Development Tiffany Chu and the Chief Medical Officer of El Camino, Dr. Mark Adams. We hope that they will be able to provide you with a good understanding of where our city stands and where we're heading, and show that hope really is in view, Mountain View. We are very grateful to our presenting sponsors, Google, as well as Intuit, for their community and business leadership in helping to make today's event possible. We're also very grateful to our supporting sponsors, Aurora, El Camino Health, LinkedIn, Neuro, the Lucille Packard Hospital at Stanford, Young and Craig and Company, and Synopsys. Thank you all. One small piece of housekeeping before we roll, and that is you are all welcome to add comments or questions to the Q&A box, which will be seen by all the panelists. However, due to timing, we may not be able to address them all, but we will record them and respond as we can. Okay, let's kick off this morning's event with a video from the City of Mountain View. Enjoy. Okay. A great start to a great morning. Again, let me say good morning. I'm Peter Katz, the CEO of the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce, and it's our pleasure to be hosting to this morning. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Mountain View City Manager, Kimbra McCarthy.
Thank you so much, Peter, and welcome everyone to our annual update. It has certainly been a very long and challenging year, but we are here today to share a lot of the positive things that we have been able to do and things that we are looking forward to. I'd also like to first acknowledge before we start our city council members. So we are joined today by Mayor Ellen Kamei, and I'd also like to recognize Vice Mayor Lucas Ramirez and our council members, Margaret Abe-Koga, Allison Hicks, Sally Lieber, Pat Showalter, and Lisa Matichek. So let me begin sharing my screen with you all, and we can jump right into our annual update presentation. Okay. Well, as I mentioned, we're here today to talk about our annual update, and it's great to see so many of you in the audience that are here from our community partners, and so many of our city staff are also joining us today. And as I mentioned, we have certainly been through a challenging time this past year, and we all know that the pandemic is continuing to impact us even now more than 1 year later, but there is hope in sight, and we do have a lot of great things that are on the horizon that we hope will bring us out of this past year that we've been in, and we have a lot to look forward to. So beginning on when we even started, March 2020, we did declare a local state of emergency on March 12th. Now I'll mention that I have been the city manager for a little over a year now. I started on March 2nd and declared the state of emergency just 9 days on the job. So it was something that we never imagined that we'd be doing, that we would be broadcasting a city council meeting and holding it virtually on a Friday night even. So I don't think that any of us would have ever thought that we would be doing this in government and even just in our community and having to pivot so quickly. So just recognizing that all of our lives changed so quickly, both personally and professionally for those of us who work from home, and obviously for our businesses that were certainly impacted and had to shut down and pivot operations. So at this point in time in March, this is really when we publicly acknowledged that we were in the pandemic, and we know that this has since evolved into an economic crisis as well. So one of the things that we did in the city was really just make sure that our COVID-19 response was widespread and responded to not only the needs of our community members, but also in our small business community. So we stepped up in the city and made sure that we were responding to all of the different priorities and programs while also trying to keep our own employees safe. So we sent home over half of our workforce, around 400 and some employees, and we did keep essential employees on site working in certain operations that really serve the community. So for example, our public safety employees and our water, wastewater, certain facility employees, parks employees, all of those staff that really help keep the city running. So one of the biggest things that we did is to comply with the public health order and make sure that we were pivoting those operations in compliance with the order. So you can take a look at all of the different ways that we did that, from staff at their work on the right side, working with community members on the phone. We have our lifeguards in the middle who were able to pivot our operations once we were able to allow folks to come back at the pool. We also have staff serving at our mass vaccination center at our community center. As you can see here, we have more staff that have been working throughout this whole time, whether it's outside or even inside at City Hall. This is a snapshot here of basically where we have been over this past year and what the city council and what the city has allocated towards the different efforts to really help the community. So we've provided over $5 million in relief funding. This is a mix of both rent relief efforts to serve the most vulnerable members of our community, and also efforts for our small businesses. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but we've also created other programs such as our utility bill relief program. We've provided multiple hygiene stations, including not only hand washing stations, but portable toilets. We've provided grocery gift cards. We've also provided funding, excuse me, for mobile showers and washer dryer services. So we're really pleased that we've been able to really step up really quickly right away and offer the support to the community. As I mentioned, pivoting our operations, now that we're in the orange tier, we've continued to pivot the operations. So what you see here are pictures of our library, our grab and go service, where we had our staff was able to provide books and checkout materials that members of the community were able to come, park their car, and actually walk up to the front door and then grab and go, grab the books and go. And so now what we have is our library operations have now opened indoors. So pickup will still be ongoing right now, Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 to 6. And now we can offer computer appointments available up to 45 minutes Thursday through Saturday, 2 to 6 p.m. And we're also now allowing indoor browsing and hold pickup inside from 2 to 6. So as we've moved throughout the tiers, we're able to pivot our operations and change how we're doing things. So this is something that we're constantly working through as we go through these different tiers at the state level. Another thing that we've done is really look at how we're providing our recreation opportunities and our virtual programming, as that has really been important throughout this whole year for both the community's mental health and physical health. So I do want to recognize our community services department for going virtual for so many of the programs that we have either provided in person in the past, but now we provided virtually. So you can see that there's various activities that we did from 5K. We did a Feel the Love Mountain View campaign where we had various activities throughout February and March. Our Deer Hollow Farm, you'll see that picture in the middle. We had virtual programs for schools and for children to be able to still participate at the farm, albeit virtually. We also had a lot of different programs to keep people engaged in the community who may feel who may have been alone or who may have not really had the chance to be around family during the height of the pandemic. So particularly our seniors and our youth, keeping them connected through various events like tech talk workshops, grab and go lunches, different fun interactive programming that youth and seniors can participate in. And that will continue over these next several months. I do also want to recognize that we have made significant promotions and hires over these last few months, over this last year during the pandemic. So there were 2 promotions of staff, longtime staff who have been promoted to directors. So I want to recognize Sue Rush, who has been with the city for over 22 years. She was promoted to Human Resources Director this past year. And also our Police Chief, Chris Shung, who was promoted in December after our Chief Max Bozell retired after 25 years with the city. And Chris has over 30 years with the city of Mountain View. And also our new Chief Communications Officer, Linka Wright. Linka joined us in October, and we're so pleased to have her here help us really launch our strategic communications efforts and all of our efforts to connect and coordinate with all of you. Then we're going to now launch our very first poll. We want to liven things up a little bit, and we wanted to talk to you about vaccinations and what you think about vaccinations in our community and how many we've actually administered. So you'll see the poll pop up on your screen. And the question is, how many COVID vaccinations have been administered at the community center since it opened as a mass vaccination site in late January? So I'll give you a couple seconds to answer that. And then maybe in about 10 seconds or so, if you could show the responses to that. So we did open our mass vaccination site in January at the community center, and we did this with about a week's worth of work. So it's good. Actually, 29,120 is how many tests have been administered. So it looks like about 35% of you got that question correct. That is what we've done. And just this last week alone, we've administered almost 1,700 vaccines at our community center. So as I mentioned, we got this up and going within a week, and it has continued to provide service to not only our Mountain View community, but also in the entire North County. Okay. So going on to the mass vaccination site, as I mentioned, it is an appointment only site right now. You can make your appointment at sccfreevax.org. And through this effort, we've partnered with the county to offer all of these services, not only testing, but also the vaccinations. And these are just pictures at the community center of our staff working, and you can see the folks in line at the community center. But obviously, I encourage you to sign up for your vaccine as soon as you're able to on that website. And then I also want to recognize that our fire department has been helping vaccinate other public safety employees throughout Santa Clara County, running a vaccine site at the Santa Clara County Fairgrounds. So they have really been stepping up to do that over these last several months. And they're also about to launch a mobile vaccination program with the county as soon as the supply increases. So that mobile vaccination will go towards our most vulnerable, not only those that may be unstably housed, but also to seniors who may not be able to get out of their house. So that should be launching soon, as I mentioned, as soon as supply ramps up. So I mentioned that we've been doing the testing along with the vaccinations, and it's been great working with our community partners on this. And I do want to recognize the El Camino Health District for partnering with us on the many pop-up vaccine testing events. We've done this at our Center for the Performing Arts on a regular basis. Our next testing event will take place on Tuesday, April 6th. So next Tuesday, and you'll be able to also get a flu test at the same time. So we also want to thank the community for being so supportive in all of our health and safety protocols and making sure that we're all masking up in Mountain View. We have had several distribution events where we've provided free masks to the community. You can see that in the top picture, where our police department has held drive-through events where people can either walk up or drive through or even take their bicycle and get a free mask. Then I also wanted to mention the rent relief program that we've provided. I know on the infographic, it showed a bit of the data of what we've done, but in our rent relief program, we've provided almost $4 million in funding and partnered with the Community Services Agency to provide rental assistance to households that qualify and people that are impacted by COVID-19. And to staff's knowledge, this is one of the largest, if not the largest, rent relief program in the entire Bay Area. So we're going to go to a second poll here, and this one is about building inspections. And the question is going to be, how many city building inspections have been performed just in this past time period alone during COVID, just from July of 2020 until now? So just take a few seconds to answer. And if you want to show the results there. Great. Looks like this is a really smart crew. Yes, we have done more than 25,000 building inspections just since July 2020 alone. We have also done, at least the number of permits has been about 2,500 and plan checks around 1,800. So ironically enough, this has actually been one of the busiest years that we've ever had, with the most inspections and plan checks and permits that we've ever issued. So as I mentioned, the building inspections are occurring, and this next slide just really shows our building inspectors and staff out there planning and participating in these events. And one of the things that I do want to mention is that we are conducting a pilot program right now to study virtual inspections of permits. So for water heaters or sewer lines, roofs, for single family dwellings. This is something that we're going to be piloting soon. And once we launch this, we'll make sure to provide ample notice to the community, but we're really excited about these virtual inspections, which we hope will make it easier for everyone. We right now also are doing digital submittal and plan checks. So we're really trying to streamline things and make things a lot easier for the community. I also want to note that we provided a small business call center where we contacted over 600 small businesses by phone or email during the height of the pandemic. Our economic development and library staff contacted the small businesses. We did this a couple times in May and then once just this past September. You all know that we also closed Castro Street. This was something that after consulting with the chamber and many of our restaurants and small businesses along Castro Street, it was determined that this would be a great way to help the businesses survive during the pandemic and then also sell their goods and services to the community. So over 60 businesses are participating in that program right now. We've also developed guidelines to have businesses operate outside on private property, also to operate with minimal city permits, licenses, or approvals. So we're really happy to partner with the chamber and the small businesses on these efforts as well. Then I also want to mention that we are on the way to having the city's strategic plan being implemented now. And a survey will be going out to all of you, including our businesses, about the city's priorities and strategic goals over the next 3 to 5 years. This process started in February and it will culminate in June with the budget, but there have been many opportunities to provide feedback or attend sessions along the way. And then lastly, I do want to mention that we are going to have a new and improved website coming to Mountain View soon. We're really wanting to make it more intuitive and user-friendly, easy to navigate, which really aligns with our strategic plan and priorities. And that will be coming out next year. So with that, I would love to transition to our mayor to talk about some of the council's priorities and some of the other great projects that we have been able to accomplish over this past year. So with that, Mayor Ellen Kamei, please take it away.
Great, thank you so much, Kimbra. Oh. All right. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback, so I think, does someone need to mute? Okay, thanks so much, Kimbra. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. Good morning. As Kimbra mentioned, my name is Ellen Kamei. I'm proud and honored to serve as your mayor. And, I really want to just, first of all, thank our city employees who continue to serve our community, including our businesses day in and day out. They've been on the front lines of this pandemic, oftentimes working as disaster workers, providing food to our families in need, and trying to, I think, bring some joy through ice cream socials for seniors, many who've been isolated during COVID. And on the screen, you'll see the Mountain View firefighter, paramedic Steve Pear, who was deployed as a disaster worker down in LA County. I also want to thank our community partners who've been providing assistance to those in need. Those include our chamber, our healthcare district, and our state and federal partners, our nonprofits. There's so many to share and to list, but they've all been doing a tremendous job for our residents in the community. I know that there are a few people today who I'd like to, attending virtually, who I'd like to thank. Supervisor Joe Smidian, our county supervisor here for District 5, and members of his staff, Michaela Helman-Tincher, his policy director, as well as Matt Savage, his policy analyst. We also have Senator Josh Becker, and from his office, Alex Kobayashi, a senior field representative, as well as Alexandria Bernabe, a field representative. I'd also like to thank Assemblymember Mark Berman, his district director, Zachary Ross is with us, and from Congresswoman Anna Eshu's office, Nicholas Hargis, who's a field representative for the Congresswoman. We've also tried to keep hope alive through our Together Mountain View donation portal for small business relief and rent relief. Thanks to our community, we've raised almost $150,000 for this effort, and you can still donate online at mountainview.gov/Together Mountain View. During this challenging time, we've worked to help our small business community. And we've developed an action plan to do this, to strengthen the resiliency for the longer term. So we've tried to do this by creating tools and really hearing the feedback from our downtown businesses. So we developed a Shop Local portal, a Shop Safe, the Shop Local Shop Safe campaign in partnership with the Chamber, providing financial assistance through loan and grant programs. That was something we heard a lot of feedback on. Creating a small business action team and developing a Mountain View business e-newsletter that's emailed out to our small businesses. Hopefully you're all receiving those. We've also worked on our small business resiliency program, and I want to recognize both Google and LinkedIn for their contributions for this small business loan program. Google gave $400,000 and LinkedIn gave $100,000. Together with the city's funding of $400,000 in community donations, we've provided almost $1 million in small business microloans. These are it's a no interest loan program with funding through the portal. And we partnered with Main Street Launch to provide 2 rounds of lending opportunities. So for round 1, we were able to support 71 businesses that received a $7,000 loan each. And then for round 2, we were able to support 12 businesses, and they each received a $15,000 loan. And if you'd like to receive more information about what we've been doing through our Mountain View business newsletter, which debuted in November, it comes out every 2 weeks, and you can email smallbiz@mountainview.gov to get that newsletter. Moving on to our grant program, we've been able to provide 50 $5,000 grants for our small businesses that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Businesses were put into a lottery system after meeting the eligibility requirements, and they were selected at random. We were able to notify our grant awardees, and we'll be working on issuing those grants very shortly. So I know one of the things we've all been talking about as we move into poll number 3 is working from home. And so how many days of the week, if any, are you still working from home? So we can pull up the poll to be able to do that. All right. So I'll give you a moment or two to fill that out. And we can bring up those results. Working 24/7 at home. Yes, I can definitely agree. I think we've all realized that with this new kind of work from home structure, we're working more than ever, right? I think we can move on to the next slide. So even with working from home 24/7, development is going in Mountain View, and we have a thriving development right now. So some exciting projects that we've been working on is obviously for our businesses in the downtown and those who live downtown is our Downtown Precise Plan. In November of 2019, we authorized staff to look into 3 different areas within a Downtown Precise Plan, and those are, we label those as Area A, H, and G, which are different parts that you can see hopefully on the map of our downtown core. And these were basically, council was looking at ways to strengthen the historic preservation and character of our downtown, while also trying to promote ground floor uses and support our retail and personal services. So we are going to be having that update shortly in 2022. We also have some exciting developments coming from Google. In February, Google submitted an informal application for a master plan in the North Bay Shore. This is 122 acres, completing 2 neighborhoods, which are Joaquin and Shorebird. And at our March 23rd meeting a few weeks ago, we unanimously approved Google's request for 1.3 million square feet of non-residential bonus FAR floor area ratio to help develop this master plan, which they had submitted in February. And we're really excited to look at a complete community, which will include new homes, parks, restaurants, services, and jobs in the North Bay Shore. This has been something we've been working on for years and years, and a formal application is going to happen later this year, which will include city review, environmental review, and community outreach. Google also put forward in September of 2020 this Middlefield Park. And this is going to be 40 acres in what's known as the East Wisman area of the city. It's right near the VTA Middlefield Light Rail Station, and looking at developing that area over the course of a 20-year period. It's proposed to be nearly 2,000 residential units with 20% affordable units, multiple ground floor uses, a new public park, new office, as well as looking at different bicycle and pedestrian amenities as we look to improve the East Wisman area of the community. And this will be coming forward in 2022. So in addition to development, we're also looking at ways to become a more sustainable community in Mountain View. So we have a Cool Block grant. So it's a fun way to be able to meet your neighbors and have a significant impact on climate change, which I know we're all feeling with this 80-degree weather this week. So the city had 2 groups compete in the city's Cool Block program, and it focused on neighborhood engagement, emergency preparation, and sustainability. And it has been rolling out for the last 5 months. And if you'd like to learn more about the Cool Block Grant program, we're happy to share that information with you too. So as we've been sheltering at home, another thing we've been thinking about is transportation. How do we make it easier for anyone who wants to walk, bike, cycle, or take public transit, get around? We've been spending more time at home, unfortunately, but wanting to be outside and walking has become a really popular activity in our community. I know I hear from residents all the time. So one of the things that we realized was automating our crosswalk signals made it easier for pedestrians to cross the street in frequent intersections. And we were able to do this at 10 different intersections. You might have seen the really big signs that said, "Do not touch this button." And we really tried to prioritize the signals changing for residents to be able to feel safe, as well as get around easier. So the touchless push buttons have become available. Another exciting thing is our community shuttle expansion. The City of Mountain View and the Mountain View Transportation Association, it's a nonprofit commute transportation organization, partnered to create a free community shuttle program to serve Mountain View. We've had key destinations throughout the city, like our senior center, our library, the Caltrain, the light rail station, and it operates daily 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. This was originally funded through a partnership with Google and the city. And in 2020, last year, the shuttle operation was transitioned to city ownership. And we've created an agreement that expands the daily operations. We've also been working with Valley Transportation Authority, the VTA, on a grant model to try to expand the hours of operation of the shuttle. That's something we've heard, as well as trying to create more shuttle stops at frequently used locations. So we hope to be able to receive this grant. It's coming forward in summer 2021. So in addition to our shuttle, we've talking about parking, downtown parking strategy. We're trying to develop a comprehensive and integrated parking strategy to address our current and future parking needs and supply. You may have noticed with the closure of Castro and the different developments going on in the downtown, that parking comes top of mind for residents and employees and visitors. And so we'll be discussing our downtown parking strategy next month at the April 2021 council meeting. So one of the things also that our community has been working on is reaffirming being a community for all. We've seen many things happening throughout our country, throughout our region, and throughout our city, which has called the attention of council. And last year, the council put together an ad hoc subcommittee on race, equity, and inclusion. The city is fully committed to racial equity and justice, as we're striving to be a welcoming place for everyone and a community for all. And so the subcommittee created a race, equity, and inclusion action plan, which focused on policies, practices, accountability in our city. And out of that, we have created a public safety advisory board. We have created a way to assess the City of Mountain View operations and policies under an equity lens, and maintaining transparency for all of our city actions. And so you'll see here pictured is our HRC had a listening session. One of the other things that's top of mind is condemning the recent acts of violence and racism against our Asian American and Pacific Islander community across the country. Last year, when council saw the rise in anti-Asian sentiment and xenophobia, we released a proclamation. We reaffirmed that in February of this year. And you may have seen the op-ed that I put together with Councilmember Abe Koga discussing this. And the city will continue to stand up against any type of inequity. So looking forward to our future, we're looking to continue our great partnerships with all of you, our businesses, as well as our residents. We look forward to collaborating with our community, and we are looking at hybrid city council meetings. One of the things people have told us is that they enjoy the Zoom model because they're not rushing from place to place. So we will be looking into that with our new city clerk, who will start in a few weeks. And we can't wait to hold citywide events again and be together. I know that my council colleagues and I look forward to our neighbors and our businesses being together. And I know that we're all together in community spirit. And I think this is why we decided to call today Hope in View. So speaking of being hopeful, moving on to our last poll, what are you most looking forward to when the public health orders are lifted? And I'll give you a few minutes. There's an other category because the options might not have been included. So I'm happy to read a couple of those. I'm not sure you'll be able to see what the other are. But I know for myself, it'll be being able to safely run without a mask. I know that I run frequently on Stevens Creek Trail and look forward to that. So maybe we can pull up the answers. Yes, visiting friends and family in person. Well, only 6% of the others. So I think we're all really looking forward to giving our family members a big hug. I know I am. And I do want to especially thank the Mountain View Fire Department, who was able to vaccinate my mom when she went to the county fairgrounds. So I think all of this is to say we've been able to accomplish a lot over this last year. We continue to try to serve all of you the best way that we can. And we do see the light at the end of the tunnel. So hope is in view. I'd like to turn it back over to the Chamber CEO, Peter Katz.
Thank you so much, Mayor Kamei and City Manager McCarthy. That was just great. Really appreciate your insights and all your efforts on behalf of our city. It's also amazing to see how many businesses, nonprofits, government offices, and individual community members have banded together during this crisis in so many important ways. I think that we have really reinforced our reputation as a center of innovation, engagement, and mostly a caring and inclusive community. So thank you so much. Several of our local companies who are sponsoring today's event have been playing important roles in our economic recovery and demonstrated their commitment to the community. So we'd like to share a few messages from them.
I'm Mufadal with Aurora, a company working to deliver the benefits of self-driving technology safely, quickly, and broadly. We're committed to making our communities safer and the lives of the people in our communities better. So I do want to acknowledge the hateful acts against Asian American and Disadvantaged communities and condemn all forms of racism while celebrating the diversity in our cities and across our country. We're proud to call Mountain View home. In just the past year, we've partnered with several organizations in the area focused on the environment and STEM education. Thank you for having Aurora as a partner in today's event.
I'm Katie Farrick from LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been a longtime supporter of Mountain View nonprofits and of course the Chamber of Commerce. We love being part of this community. And this year has required all of us to do more. As we all know, it's been extraordinary, and I just want to thank the mayor and all of the city council and city staff for their leadership during this incredible time. I can't wait to hear what's next, and I really appreciate too the Chamber of Commerce because they're helping with economic recovery. We're here for the community, and thank you very much.
Hi, Mountain View. We're Neuro, an autonomous vehicle company focused on goods delivery. We're proud to call Mountain View home to our headquarters. We've been testing autonomous vehicles in the neighborhood, and we're working to deploy a future commercial service. What a year it has been. Thank you, former Mayor Abby Koga, Mayor Kamei, and the City Council for your strong leadership, and we look forward to continuing to work together to better everyday life through robotics.
I'm Lonnie Geary, Managing Partner of Young Craig & Company LLP, a full-service CPA firm located in Mountain View, California, and serving the peninsula for over 40 years. At YCC, we have a commitment to supporting the community. We feel a responsibility for volunteerism at various local fundraising events and through sponsorships of the local nonprofits. We are proud to be a sponsor of the City Annual Update.
Okay, well, let's see some of the faces behind the names. If you are online right now, we'll promote you to panelists for a quick hello. So please turn your camera on and give a wave as I call your company's name. So from LinkedIn, is Katie on? Okay, I see John from El Camino, Javier Gonzalez from Google, Mufadal, say hello. Thank you. Dan Mitchell from Neuro. I see Cecile Courier from El Camino. Sydney Journal, also from Aurora. Okay. I'm not seeing any others, but thank you all very, very much for being such an important part of our business community as well as our community at large. We also want to give special thanks to El Camino Health. El Camino has been front and center in response and support during the pandemic. There's no question that our medical community has been so critical to our health and safety. We'd like to share a message from their CEO, Dan Woods.
Welcome to Mountain View City Annual Update. El Camino Health is proud to be a sponsor this year. Times are different. I wish we could be in person, but it's important for us to stay and remain connected via Zoom or otherwise. We've been around El Camino Hospital since 1961, and it was started by our community when people band together to form a healthcare district. Over the past several years, we've grown strong as your community partner as a healthcare provider to you. I want to thank, over the past year, a few people. The outpouring of support from the community as well as representatives from the city was phenomenal. And in particular, I would like to thank Mayor Kamei and the city manager, Kimbra McCarthy. Thank you so much. I know you are present today, and on the bottom of my heart, and I speak for all of the heroes on the front lines, thank you for your support and continued support in the future. Finally, if you haven't been vaccinated and you are eligible to be vaccinated, I would encourage all of you to get vaccinated as soon as possible. We believe this is our way out of the pandemic, and in doing so, next time this year, we'll be able to talk in person. Thank you.
I think that message is pretty clear, especially that today is no fooling. It is the day when the enrollment has increased for injections. So please, when you are eligible, please get your vaccination. We now come to the panel part of our presentation. So I'm going to ask that each of the panelists turn on their screen, and there we go. We'd like to welcome Dr. Mark Adams, Chief Medical Officer of El Camino Health, and Tiffany Chu from the city's Office of Economic Development to join the mayor and the city manager. So thank you all very much for being panelists. Mayor, I'd like to start with you and just ask a kind of a general question in terms of if maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the key partnerships with the chamber and with our local businesses during COVID-19.
Thanks so much, Peter. Well, I know I mentioned some of them in the presentation. We wouldn't have been able to launch our small business grant program or the resiliency loan program without the chamber's help, obviously with the help too of staff. And I know Ms. Chu is here and her team has been working hard on that. And I know that we were able to partner as well on the cap on the service delivery fees. I know that the chamber and your chamber members were working on that. I think it's been all about partnership as we've been trying to navigate the pandemic, whether it's communications on the closure of Castro Street, the feedback of that, or the grants, the loans, the service delivery fees. I know that not only are we doing that, but I know that many of the businesses have been providing meals to our essential workers and those on the front lines. And so, there isn't anything that we haven't been doing together and in partnership. And so just really want to say thank you to the chamber and our business community for everything they've been doing.
Thank you. I'm going to switch it over to kind of to focus a little bit on downtown. And I would like to direct this one to Tiffany to ask what the current thinking is or what the plans are in terms of the next steps for Castro Street.
Thank you, Peter. We are going to be returning to council on April 13th to talk about Castro Streets, primarily to waive the sidewalk cafe permit fees to allow businesses to operate during the street closure and to also prepare them for an eventual reopening. However, we will continue to monitor the business and community feedback on the current Castro Streets program and the closure of Castro Streets to vehicular traffic. And if at a point we come to a place in the program where the wind down of the Castro Streets program is in sight, and there seems to be significant support in keeping one or more of the blocks of Castro Street open to outdoor uses, staff will return to council for further direction.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to ask a follow-up question to City Manager McCarthy. And the question is, what are some of the key points of the Small Business Recovery Plan?
Thanks, Peter. So I know that the mayor shared a slide about some of them, but I think the biggest thing that we are really focused on is making sure that there is, we keep using the word resilience in our small business efforts. So what that means is really not only what Tiffany just talked about, maintaining that ongoing dialogue and communication, but we're really looking at ways we can streamline and improve the processes that we have in the city to work with our small businesses. So we mentioned different permitting process, at least streamlining that. We're also looking at streamlining our business license process for new businesses that come into town, or renewing businesses every year. So we hope to be launching that soon, probably with the start of the fiscal year, just to make it a lot easier and quicker for businesses. So we're really looking at things like that and the action plan, along with the various items that were mentioned, like our newsletter. We're also going to be taking a larger view of this in the upcoming fiscal year, and really looking at an overarching economic development strategic plan. So that's something that we'll be embarking on shortly. But we are looking at a number of efforts that really do target our small business community.
Thank you very much. And it's really exciting to hear so many things underway. Dr. Adams, I didn't mean to leave you for last, but we've been having so many questions that are related to the vaccines and what's happening with COVID that I really had a couple of questions queued up that I wanted to ask of you. And, clearly, this is what's on everyone's mind. It affects business, it affects the community at large. And so we want to kind of dive into that a little bit. Maybe you could start by giving, what advice would you give to those who have been vaccinated and those who have not?
So, and thank you, Peter, and thank you, everyone's great presentations, really appreciate it. And by the way, just to echo Dan, we really appreciate our connection to the community and working with the city. It's just really been fantastic, a great example of how communities can work together. So thank you for that. So right now, until there's enough higher percentage of people vaccinated, we really can't change too much, other than if you're vaccinated, then what that means, according to the CDC, is that within your family, if everyone's vaccinated, then you are free to get together without having to social distance and mask with each other in your household. So, that's a plus. You can hug your grandchildren now, perhaps where you couldn't before. But honestly, in public, it doesn't really matter whether you're vaccinated or not. We still have to continue with the precautions, just like was said today. The masking, the distancing, all of that really is vitally important. There's a couple things that, the vaccines are not foolproof. It is still possible to catch COVID if you're vaccinated. Your chance of having a serious illness or dying from it is extraordinarily low. So there's definitely a protection, but it's not foolproof. And so that means you can still spread it theoretically. And we also don't know the limit of the vaccination effect. That's sort of yet to be seen. Remember flu, right? You have to get it every year, so it doesn't carry over from year to year. So there's a lot of unknowns still, and so we still have to be cautious. And as we open up, which is great, believe me, I'm as happy about that as you are, we still have to be careful because there is that potential for another surge out there. There are variants out there that may or may not be stopped by the vaccine. So it's sort of, good news, but with caution.
Great. There's been a lot of comments in the news and all about the shortage of vaccine. And so I think a lot of people, especially today, where if you are 50 or over, you are now eligible, that the question is, gee, can I get a vaccine? What should I do? Who should I call? I wonder if you might be able to provide some advice and direction on that.
Yeah, Peter, and you're right. The supply has been difficult at times. And, we still need a lot more vaccines to be produced. And they are being produced, but it's been, the distribution has been sketchy at times. And so my advice is absolutely keep trying to get vaccinated. As of today, it's 50 and up as of April 15th. Anyone 16 and older are eligible to be vaccinated. And that's great. But again, the supply has to be there. And so what I would recommend is to go on the websites. The county has the VAX website, elcaminohealth.org. We have our website, and we also identify all of the different ones, even beside ours. We have a center that we're opening up, a max vaccination site in Sunnyvale, right across the border from Mountain View and the LinkedIn building. And so as long as we can keep getting supply, we'll keep pushing them out there. And so, but it does take some, continued effort because the appointments open and close depending on the supply. I think supply has been a little bit low for first doses lately, but it does seem to be picking up. And hopefully if Johnson & Johnson, I know they had to throw away 15 million doses, which was unfortunate. But once they also ramp up, hopefully we'll have a more steady supply.
Fantastic, thank you. And then I think there's been one other question that's come in is for those who are kind of nervous about the vaccine, the concern I've heard is that are there lingering effects?
There are some people, it's a minority of people that have some side effects from the vaccination. Generally, they're relatively mild, some myalgias, some fever, some tiredness. There's an even smaller subset that have more reaction to it. There's something called Moderna arm, where people have had some more pain in their shoulder, but really very few serious complications or side effects. I personally have watched several thousand people get their vaccination. I have not seen one bad immediate reaction. And like I said, a few lingering complaints, but really nothing that would in any way suggest that there's a risk to taking the vaccination, nor would I let any of that deter me from taking the vaccination. Well, think of it this way, whatever discomfort might be, it's transient and it's going to keep you from dying from COVID. And so that to me is a great trade-off, no matter what it is.
Thank you very, very much. We are coming close to the end of our time together. I understand that there was a technical glitch with the Aurora video. And so we'd like to show that again. And before we move to that video, I do want to thank all the members of our panel. I just wish we had more time. There's always so much to discuss. But as mentioned, any questions that have come in during this time will be captured and presented later. If we could roll the Aurora video, and then we'll have some wrap-up comments, please.
I'm Mufaddal with Aurora, a company working to deliver the benefits of self-driving technology. We're committed to making our communities safer and the lives of the people in our communities better. So I do want to acknowledge the hateful acts against Asian American and Pacific Islander communities and condemn all forms of racism while celebrating the diversity in our cities and across our country. We're proud to call Mountain View home. In just the past year, we've partnered with several organizations in the area focused on the environment and STEM education. Thank you for having Aurora as a partner in today's event.
Better. The Chamber of Commerce is honored to have hosted today's city annual update and to continue to support our local economy through special events, both online and offline, special marketing and promotions for our businesses, and being an advocate and voice for businesses, building partnerships, connections, and networking opportunities with other companies and the community at large, as well as with the city. Basically ensuring that our local economy and our community grows together and thrives. I want to thank Mayor Kamei. I want to thank City Manager McCarthy. I want to thank Dr. Adams, and I want to thank Tiffany Chu for their candid answers and their commitment to our city. I want to thank our sponsors for your ongoing support and efforts. I want to give a huge shout out to the Chamber team, Kira Pasco and Leslie King, her 4th day on the job, I might add, and Brian Kaczynski for all that they've done, not just to bring this event here to you today, but everything that we've been doing this past year. And really a special thanks to all of you watching. Please, please stay safe, stay careful, stay involved, mask up, get your vaccine when available. We hope this morning has been informative, fun, and really, truly puts hope in view. Thank you, everyone.